Welcome to tonight's Yin Yoga for Heart Health. As we're doing this live together, it is February, which brings to mind lovely things about the heart. And so each month on the third Thursday of the month, I offer this live and recorded Yin Yoga class with a certain theme. And so this month's theme is heart health. So before I get into all the fun, nerdy things about the heart and the heart meridian from the Chinese medicine perspective, a couple of things about props. If you have them nearby, I would grab a blanket or something like a pillow you can prop yourself up with, or pad, any part of you that might need a little extra love or attention, and a strap, or it could be a strappy thing like a scarf, something that makes your arms a little longer. All right. Let's begin in really any position that you like. I generally like to start seated. I'll give a little bit of context to get us started, and then we'll get into the practice together. Excuse my adjustments of the camera situation here. I'm going to try to trick it into thinking that. Let me try this again. Pardon the technical difficulties. All right. Okay. All right. So for those of you who this might be your first time doing Yin Yoga or first time in a long time, one of the things I love about this practice is that it's sweet and slow, but it's not necessarily the same kind of sweet and slow as gentle yoga. In fact, some of the postures may not feel quite so gentle. And given that I just said that, this is your practice. So any of the things that I'm offering, if they don't work for you, feel free to do your own thing and as you need. So the heart meridian. A meridian just means energy line, and we have lots of them moving throughout the body. And according to traditional Chinese medicine, the heart is the king, right? Without it, nothing else really happens, or not much can happen for very long anyway. And it's interesting because I picked the heart for our practice today, even though it's February. And I say even though, because really the season for the heart meridian is the summer. Right? In the summer, this is when fire element is highest, and the heart meridian is connected to the fire element. So this is when that time of year when the heart can kind of get out of balance a little bit more easily. And it's possible that the heart can be out of balance or need some attention and love any time of year. I just want to mention the seasonality piece. So emotionally, joy is really the emotion connected to the heart meridian. When things are moving smoothly and there's no stuck energy and affecting the heart energy, then we can both express and feel joy. And the heart really is in charge of all the emotions, right? When something's wrong in the heart energy or the heart itself, it's really hard to feel any of the emotions in an appropriate way. And I say appropriate not to say, oh, somebody else's judgment of what is appropriate culturally or otherwise speaking, but just an appropriate amount of joy, right? We could be overjoyed and that could throw things off balance, right? It's an appropriate response for your system, for your body. In fact, the heart really is in charge of appropriateness, like appropriate responses for everything in the body, not just emotions. So I find that really interesting because I don't think of the heart when I think of appropriateness unless I think of it in this context. So another interesting thing about the heart meridian is that beyond the emotions, which feels like a natural connection, it also rules the mind. And this is where sometimes when the heart meridian or energy is out of whack or out of balance, it can very often present as insomnia, like the kind of insomnia where you're just lying awake at night because the mind is sort of not able to appropriately shut down, right? Appropriately let go of certain things. The reason why that is important is because one of the first points I want to share with you might be helpful if that's something that you're experiencing. So usually in this practice, I like to start with a couple acupressure point massage points that you can do for yourself. And then we'll get into the postures that will help us hopefully move the energy more smoothly. So where does the heart energy line live? Well, we think of the heart right here in the chest, which is absolutely where it lives, over hopefully somewhere on the left side of the body. But the heart energy line lives in mostly the arms. And so it goes somewhere wrapping around the heart, down the arm, and to the outside edge of the inside edge of the pinky finger. And so the points I'm going to point out to you are in the arm and hand area. The first one is one you might actually be really familiar with if you've ever been seasick. Anybody ever have those little bands that have a little, like, I don't even know what to call it. The German word would be Bippi. It's like a little thing that sticks out to press on a pressure point. And so right near the wrist crease, I'll get a little closer to the camera here, right near the wrist crease, if you draw a line sort of between the pinky finger and the middle, the ring finger, and come down to the wrist crease, somewhere close to the middle, but just closer to the pinky side edge of your hand, there's usually a pretty good divot. And sometimes if you poke around there, it's a little sensitive, right? You might notice that for yourself. So it's not quite in the middle, it's just over a little bit to the pinky side. And you can simply hold and press on this point, or you can make little circles with your thumb. Feel free to look for it on the other side as well. Again, drawing a line between the pinky and ring finger and then down towards the wrist crease, just below the crease itself. Another way to find this point is, for some of you, you might have a very strong, I don't know if you can see it here, like the two tendons that come down right in the middle. It's just going to be to the pinky side of that. So this point is great for insomnia. It's also great for nausea. And it's funny, not all the points, like you think of the heart and the emotions, and we're poking on this point and it helps with nausea. There is a connection to that as well. Another great reason to massage this point at any point in time is that it helps to tonify the blood, the heart blood, and the heart chi, which is the heart energy. And so you might enjoy a few moments here simply connecting with touch, connecting with this part of you, connecting with your heart. And sometimes people ask me, which direction should I be circling in? And there is some rhyme and reason behind that. And without going into that being a whole story, I would say you could spend maybe 30 seconds or a minute going in one direction and then switch and go in the other direction if you like. So this point for any of the acupuncture nerds in the room is called Heart 7. So it's the 7th point, right? Coming down the arm. The heart energy line is on the karate chop side of your hand, right? So this part of your arm here coming down towards the pinky finger, which is where we're going next, actually. The last point, Heart 9, is the next point I'm going to invite you to massage. And so for here, if you notice your pinky finger nail, there's the outside edge of the nail bed and the inside edge of the nail bed. We're going to go to the inside edge of the nail bed. And maybe with another finger or your thumb, you can gently press or circle, massage that point. This point is particularly good for fostering joy and restoring your spirit. I don't know why I just lifted my heart a little bit saying that while I was massaging the point. Massaging this point is kind of like adding kindling to a fire. You know, you have a lovely fire in your fireplace, and then you need to feed it a little bit to keep it alive. And so that is my analogy for this point right here. And just like your fire can illuminate your space and bring light, this point and massaging this point, adding kindling to your own heart fire can help bring some clarity. Remember that mind-heart connection I mentioned? So feel free at any time. You can try it on the other finger too, if you like. I have a little boo-boo on that side, so I'm not going to do it on the other hand. Okay. You can keep going and massaging for as long as you like. You never have to wait for me. If you're feeling ready to move the rest of your body, we're now going to move into some postures that will help to activate some points in the arms, but will also help open up the energy lines that live in the legs or that are connected to. So for the first posture, I'll invite you to come into twisted child. So this starts in child's pose. In child's pose, you have your knees wide, any distance apart, and then shift your hips back any amount towards your heels. Now from here, if you start up on your elbows a bit, so you're up a little bit away from the ground, you're going to add a bit of a twist to activate some points in the arm. So maybe with your right hand, thread it through so that you can reach the shoulder and the cheek to the ground. This is where some of you might prefer to rest your head or your cheek on a little something. Sometimes just resting it on your hand is enough. Now, if for any reason your knees don't want to bend this much, or this just doesn't feel comfortable, you could, as an alternative, do this from higher up on your knees. And then we tend to call it thread the needle pose. And that just might be a more easeful way to be in this shape. So take a few moments to feel into your shape, figure out your shape. And ideally, you create a shape that you can hang out in for a little bit, that you can relax into for a little bit. In this yin yoga practice, we tend to hold postures for anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes, although I tend towards the 2 or 3 minute mark. And the purpose of holding for that long is really similar to the idea of slow cooking. You want to have a gentler or lesser stress, helpful stress, or stimulation, but for a longer period of time.
And so that's where being in a passive shape, not really engaging the muscles or gripping and tightening, but instead releasing muscular effort and relaxing into the shape is the goal or the idea. Now remember, you don't have to wait for me to guide you in or out of anything. But when you do decide it's time, and maybe you're feeling, okay, I've cooked this side long enough, I'm ready to move out. It's normal to feel a tiny bit stuck along the way out because you've been holding the shape passively for a little bit. So be nice to yourself as you make your way out, and feel free to do any other wiggles or transition movements that you like before you get to the other side. So if you need to give your legs a break or a stretch, feel free. And then make your way into twisted child, or if you prefer, thread the needle on the other side. I'm going to change my legs a little bit wider just to change it up a little bit. You're welcome to do as you wish. And then thread your left arm underneath you. So step one is to create the shape. Step two is to relax inside the shape. And then step three is to sustain or simply be in the shape. There's not a lot you have to do once you're in it. But if you wanted somewhere for your mind to go or something to tune in to, see if you can feel where in the body you notice your breath while you're in this shape. And you might be thinking about moving out, or maybe enjoy another few moments here before you do. Whenever you decide to transition out of the shape, be tender with yourself and enjoy a few moments of transition that might feel nice to be more moving oriented or dynamic right after holding a pose for a little while. Some of your body parts might want to unfold or stretch. So listen to your instincts, trust yourself, and enjoy a few moments of moving in all different kinds of ways that feel good. So that was Twisted Child. If you're ready for something new, we're going to make our way into heart melting pose, sometimes called puppy dog stretch. I'm going to bring the blanket underneath my knees so I have a little extra padding. You're welcome to do the same. And then the general idea here is if you start from tabletop, instead of shifting your hips in any way or another, you're going to keep them roughly where they are, but walk your hands out any amount away from you. So you're extending the arms. And if you want to visualize that heart energy line coming down the
the pinky side of your arm, the karate chop side of your arm. You might notice some feelings there. Now, some of you may find it restful to bring your head to the ground. Some of you may find it more restful or useful to bring the elbows to the floor and actually let the arms kind of be wherever. We won't be here quite as long. Enjoy being in the shape, noticing sensation or breath. And feel gravity and time and how they affect your experience in the shape. Whenever you feel complete, slowly make your way out. Ooh, and my body kind of wants to curl into itself after that, maybe into a cat pose. What does your body want to do next? Trust your instincts to move or simply be in a different shape for a few moments. How are you doing? Are you feeling that sweet and slow, but not always gentle? Right, I find that one, the heart melting pose, sometimes can feel lots of feelings in through my arms. Okay, if you're ready for something new, we're going to move into our next shape, which will be a half dragonfly pose with a side bend. So what does that mean? I like all the names that Yin Yoga has for the shapes. I find them fun. Dragonfly is my favorite, of course. I'm going to sit up on a folded blanket. You might have a pillow or something if you choose. And then take both feet wide. Dragonfly is essentially a wide angle shape, but it's a half dragonfly. So bring your right foot in, bend the knee, and make it a half. If your knee would like the padding or something underneath it to support, feel free to bring another blanket or something underneath that. And then right here, you could be as you are. Beautiful pose. If you want to add a little bit of the arm movement to stimulate the heart meridian, then try a side bend over towards your extended leg. So you could lean over towards the leg and have that be enough. You could bring your right arm up and over with you. You could also lean sideways kind of on the mat instead of towards your leg. That could be a different kind of side bend. And then feel free to bring the arm up and over. Some of you may have some blocks or pillows or stack of something that you can lean on or even rest your elbow on as you lean to the side. And then ideally your right arm, if you're bringing it up over with you, is kind of hanging out on your head so that it too can relax into the shape. Once you've created your shape, let gravity hold you up so that you can release and relax any muscular effort that you're aware of that's not necessary right now. If If at any point you notice that gravity and time affect you in the sense of increasing the amount of sensation you feel, it's not necessarily a problem, but there is a threshold, right? At some point, you're like, that's too much sensation. Feel free to change or adjust your shape in any way. You can also come all the way out of it at that point if you like, or move back into it. When you feel ready, help yourself return to your starting point. Sometimes it can feel good to do a little twist towards your bent knee as you're part of your transition out of that shape. If there are any other movements your body wants as part of your transition, then go for it. And then when you're ready, set yourself up for half dragonfly on the other side. Extend your right leg out and bring your left foot in so you're in that half wide shape, wide angle shape. And if you like, add the side bend. Lean to the side or towards your extended leg. And maybe bring the left arm up and over with you to rest on your head. When you feel ready to move out of that shape, enjoy the transition. Enjoy different movement, new shapes, shaking, wiggling, anything that feels good next. All right. When you're ready for the next shape, grab your strap. And for this next shape, really my intention is to open up some points on the arms. There is an option if you want to add some legs to the situation, but let me show you the arms first, and then you can decide and experiment for yourself. So the arms we're going to do are eagle arms, which generally speaking, if you have the strap, every time I do this and I show it, I forget which side the strap is easier to have in. So let's do it in the right hand. Cross your right arm over your left above the elbows. And then if possible, bend your elbows and with the other hand, find the strap. Hopefully I did it right and it made it easy. Otherwise, see if you can figure it out. So the idea here is that the arms are crossed and the hands are on the strap. Now, some people can bring the hands together in front of the face. But in order to do so, there might be like, it might just not be the most easeful thing to do. It doesn't have to be relaxing per se, but it just might be a little bit squeezy or challenging. So that's why I have the strap. You can also do it without the strap if you like. And so from this shape, many of you might start feeling some feelings down the arms and shoulders. And that's really the point here. Go ahead and unwind the arms for a second, and I'll give you the legs in case you want to add them. So the option for the legs is shoelace. So you'll want the opposite leg on top as you have the arm over. So if you have your right arm on top, you want your left leg over. So that means right leg goes under first. Left foot might cross over the knee. And for some people, this just isn't possible. It's just too tight. It doesn't feel good. It's not possible to be a passive shape. So you might right here decide like, nope, that's not for me. I'm just going to do the arms. Totally up to you. So if you like shoelace or you want to explore shoelace, feel free. Some of you may have knees that stack on top of one another. I am not that person. And sometimes some combination of blocks, blankets, and other things, cushions, can be helpful here too. And then feel free to grab your strap in your right hand, cross it over the left arm, find the other end of the strap in the hand, and then you have what might feel like a super twisty, somewhat awkward perhaps shape. Now, doing it with the arms and legs together can sometimes create a bit of an intensity that's much different than if you're just doing the arms or just doing the legs. So even if doing the legs and the arms feels great, you might decide to skip one or the other. That's totally fine. If anybody wants some more sensation for the legs, you could lean forward towards the legs any amount. The only thing about that is that sometimes that means your torso has to brace to hold you up, because unlike doing just plain shoelace without the arms, you're not able to hold on to the floor. So it's a choice that you can make, but there's no pressure or reason that you need to do it. As best you can, release into gravity. And enjoy a few more moments here. Remember that you're in charge and in choice of when, if you need to come out sooner. To come out of the pose, I recommend you unwrap the arms first so that your hands are free to help you unwind your legs. This is one of those I can feel a little stuck in. And sometimes I can feel a little tenderness in the knees or the hips after shoelace. So feel free to tenderly touch or rub those areas a little bit. You could also shake or swish the knees from side to side. And if there's another movement like cat and cow or anything else your body really wants before you change sides, then give yourself that. I'm going to talk less on this side now that you know where we're going. So this time the left arm will come on top of the right so that you're on the other side. And if you choose to do the legs, That means your left leg will come in first so that your right leg can come on top. So if you think of it as opposite arm on top as that leg on top. Otherwise, you just kind of feel like you're twisting all to one side, which is not necessarily a problem. It just might not be as easy to feel passive in the shape. All right. Set yourself up however it feels good and honor whatever differences you experience on this side. So if this shape has to look different, great. Whenever you feel ready to unwrap and unwind, you can move your strap out off to the side, help your legs out, give them some love, give your arms a little touch or love. All right, and then the next shape, which might be somewhere where you want to go naturally anyway, some of you, is going to be a seated forward fold. I'll give you two options actually. If anybody wants to go for the second option, I'll show you in a second, but seated forward fold, you could be up on a little something, you could be down on the floor, or you could even have your blanket rolled up as some padding underneath your knees. Even just a little bit there can be supportive. And then you do have a strap nearby. So you could loop the strap around your legs. The only thing about that is that then we tend to like want to pull on the strap and engage in the shape instead of just be passive in the shape. So it's up to you if you want to try to play with a passive strappy forward fold, or you could simply lower your torso over your legs. Let your hands rest on the legs or the ground. You could also hold your head up with your hands if that feels good. And if anybody's interested in a very different kind of experience, but really the same shape, it's just upside down. We call it snail. And this is where you would roll and kick your feet to the floor behind you. You could either have your hands down where your hips were, or you could reach towards the toes. This one too is a little more challenging to feel passive about. So if it's not for you, smack the floor with your hands, slowly come down and make your way into something else. What's the feeling now? After being in this shape for this amount of time, what's the feeling now? And when you're ready to move out of it, do so in your own way, in your own time. Sometimes it feels good to lean back after that and lift the chest or move the legs. All right, so for this next and for the following positions, we'll be heading down towards the ground, but a few things to grab in case you have them nearby. If you have blocks or like blankets, pillows or something that you can use to support the knees in a bit, then have those one on either side of you to reach for pretty easily. The only challenge is you don't want them in the way. So you might figure out where they'll be, but somewhere close by. Feel free to replace any socks if you want to stay warm and cozy, and then roll your way down onto the floor. And enjoy this transition. Maybe you squeeze the knees in or circle the knees in space to massage your low back. And then the shape that I invite you into is a reclined twist with the arms out wide. Again, our theme here with the heart meridian is incorporating arm positions into anything that we're doing. So one position that you might try, even before you have your legs in a twist, is to bring your arms out like goalpost arms, the elbows bent. And for some people, I'm speaking for myself too, like the hands kind of float and it's different if they rest on the ground. So if that's not comfortable for you, you can extend the arms out a bit more and reach across the room, or find your own way to be with your arms. And then start with the feet wide on your yoga mat and let the knees fall over to your left in a twist. And this is where, if you have a pillow there nearby, you could bring it underneath the outer leg there. For some of you, you might prefer the pillow in between the legs or thighs to kind of catch or grab on. So feel free to play with what props are most supportive to you. And then relax into the shape. In your own time, decide when you want to switch the legs to twist to the other side. And you're welcome to do anything in between sides in terms of movement or stretching. That feels good. And then let your knees fall to your right. And if the arm position is still working for you, awesome. Just know that your arms, if they're in the same position, will be hanging out for much longer. Again, it's not necessarily a problem, but you're welcome to try a different arm position when your knees are on this second side. Whenever you feel complete, there's no rush. Make your way out of this shape, enjoy a moment. Maybe to stretch long on the floor, or you could interlace your fingers. Excuse me, and press the palms away from you above your head. And our final shape together might be relaxation for you with just the legs out long, no fancy shape. If you want a place to go or a suggestion here, I would suggest butterfly with the legs. So soles of the feet together, knees wide. And this is where pillows or blocks underneath the thighs can help support this so that you're not gripping or holding in the legs or in the groin. Feel free to cover with a blanket or place a pillow under your head if that's cozy and comforting. Remember that if you do start in your butterfly shape and you decide at some point in the next few minutes that you want to change to a more relaxing shape to close, that's great. I'm going to come to sit for the last few moments. And if that would be the most relaxing place for you, maybe with the back against the wall, then trust your instincts there. It always surprises me at this point in a yin yoga practice that even though we don't move quickly and we don't energetically, actively engage in with muscles and force, it's still like, oh, thank you for the relaxation. You might be feeling that too. Even though yin yoga is a slower practice, we're still moving a lot of energy. That's the point, to allow the energy to move more freely by creating the opportunity for space. And in some cases, to release stuck energy. And so the rest and relaxation is just as, if not more important than any of those poses that came before. It helps you integrate the practice, and it helps you truly not do for a little while, even if it felt like you weren't doing much a few moments ago. So feel yourself surrendering intentionally to a few minutes of rest. Feel yourself breathing. Feel yourself resting on the earth. And give thanks to the earth for gravity, for being able to rest. And also to the earth for holding you up. Be tender with yourself in this transition. As you prepare to move into whatever comes next, maybe interacting with the outside world again. You might stretch, wiggle, or move. And in your own way, make yourself up into a comfortable seat so we can close our time together. Mm. And if it's okay with you, bring your hands to your heart. Right hand first, left hand over. And give thanks to your heart, this muscle that is king of so many organs and functions and responsibilities, emotions, mental activity, all without you even having to worry about it. For me, the yin practice is about getting out of the way instead of meddling with our heart health or with our health in general. The heart knows how to do its job. So thank you, heart. And thank you for being here. I so appreciate you. I love sharing what I do, and you make it much more meaningful. If you're here live, I'll be here to say hello or answer any questions you have. And if you're watching the recording and you have questions, drop them in the comments just below the recording. And it's a great way for us to have a conversation back and forth. I hope you have a sweet and restful evening and happy Heart Month.